everyone, and welcome to today's Wild Rift video. Today I'm going to be giving you the complete beginner's guide for the new Wild Rift champion, Nidalee. Nidalee is one of the most unique and versatile champions in Wild Rift. Known for her hybrid playstyle that blends range poke, high mobility, and burst assassination. As a shape-shifting assassin, Nidalee can snipe enemies from afar with her spears in human form, then dive in with cougar form to finish the job before they have a chance to react. Nidalee's ultimate is Aspect of the Cougar, which you get for free at level 1. This allows Nidalee to swap between human form and cougar form every few seconds. While in human form, applying Hunted from Nidalee's passive refreshes Aspect of the Cougar's cooldown, helping you switch to cougar form much quicker. And while in cougar form, Nidalee's basic ability damage scales with this ability's rank, and she also gains some bonus armor and mag resist. Nidalee's passive is Prowl. Nidalee gains movement speed in bushes, increased to 30% while moving towards enemy champions, and this bonus also persists for 2 seconds after leaving any bush. Prowl's second passive allows Nidalee to mark enemy champions or monsters as hunted for a few seconds. They are marked as hunted when Nidalee hits them with either a javelin toss or bushwhack from Nidalee's human form. While an enemy is hunted, they are revealed and Nidalee gains movement speed towards the hunted enemy. And the 2 movement speed bonuses from both of Prowl's passives can stack with a total cap of 30% movement speeds. First, let's take a look at Nidalee's human form and her first ability, Javelin Toss. Nidalee will throw a javelin, dealing magic damage. This damage can be increased based on the distance flown. So the further the javelin travels, the more damage you'll be able to do. This is essential when clearing through the jungle. Even at level 1, you actually want to stand quite far away from the blue buff to be able to hit a maximum range spear. And this works for all jungle camps as well. Dealing that extra damage and helping your jungle clear speed will help her snowball and gank more often. When aiming Javelin Toss in Wild Rift, your field of view actually gets increased. So even if you don't want to use your first ability, you can still aim your first ability around to get a bigger field of view so you can see what enemies are around you. Nidalee's second ability in human form is Bushwhack, which Nidalee can place an invisible trap for a few seconds. When an enemy walks over it, they are revealed and dealt magic damage per second for 4 seconds. This is another essential ability when clearing through the jungle. You always want to put the trap where the jungle monsters are going to walk towards, so you'll be able to apply 2 stacks of Hunted from both your first ability and your second ability. And during skirmishes and team fights, you can put these traps around chokeholds. If an enemy AD carry or a squishy champion walks over this trap, you'll be able to pounce on them in cougar form and deal a lot of damage. And finally, for a human form, we have Primal Surge, which restores health, which can be increased based on their missing health, and also grants them attack speed for a few seconds. Primal Surge can be used on Nidalee or an allied champion. Primal Surge has incredible AP scaling, so be on the lookout for allied champions that are low on health, since you'll be able to use Primal Surge on them to heal them basically up to half health. Next is Nidalee's cougar form and her first ability, Takedown. Nidalee's next attack deals magic damage, which can be increased based on the target's missing health. If the enemy is hunted from Nidalee's passive, this ability deals 30% increased damage. The next ability in cougar form is Pounce, which allows Nidalee to pounce towards a target location, dealing magic damage to enemies in the area she lands. When Nidalee marks an enemy as hunted, you'll be able to press Pounce and automatically jump on enemy champions, which can help your burst damage a lot. However, when trying to escape with Cougar, you do need to be careful and make sure that you manually aim this ability instead. Sometimes you'll be trying to pounce away and tapping the ability with Cougar, but you'll have a hunted enemy behind you. If you just tap this ability, Nidalee will automatically turn around and pounce on that hunted enemy. But if you manually aim this ability in the target direction that you want to, you'll be able to jump over walls safely. And yes, Pounce can also go over walls. You can use this aggressively to try and get a different position for your javelin toss, or use it to escape enemy champions. And when you kill an enemy in cougar form or use this ability on a hunted target, it reduces its cooldown by 2 seconds, allowing you to be a lot more mobile in teamfights. And lastly, we have Swipe, allowing Nidalee to claw at enemies in front of her, dealing magic damage. For combos, you want to start in human form and hit an enemy champion with your first ability, Javelin Toss, then change into cougar form. With Cougar form, you jump in with your second ability and then use your third ability, your first ability, and your auto attacks to deal a huge amount of burst damage. Before you change into Cougar form, you can try and use your second ability and your third ability. Your third ability especially will be very important before you jump in, since the increased attack speed will help you deal more damage. However, your trap doesn't need to be used all of the time, since most of the time enemies are moving around, so it will be very difficult to try and hit this on the same target. For leveling order, at level 1 you want to start with your first ability. Using your javelin toss at maximum range on a blue buff is going to be very important to help you clear through the jungle. At level 2 you go for your third ability so you can get more attack speed in human form and have swipe to deal more damage, and then you want to take your second ability. And then your max in order will be your first ability first, followed by your third ability, and then your second ability, making sure that you level up your ultimate when possible. For the build as an AP assassin, you want to make sure that you build as much ability power as possible, increasing your damage of javelin toss and also when you jump in with Cougar form. Lichbane is a core item after you hit your first ability javelin toss. You'll be able to jump in with Cougar form and deal a lot more damage with your auto attacks. Infinity Orb increases your burst damage to low health enemy champions. Death Cap increases your overall ability power and is one of the strongest ability power items in the game. Crown of the Shattered Queen gives you a shield just in case you get bursted by any abilities or any crowd control. And the last item is flexible. I like to go Ocean's Trident since there's a lot of shielding in the game and it can help your burst damage. However, you could also go for Riftmaker. For boots, you want to go for Boots and Mana, and for your boots upgrade, you either want to go for Protobelt for more mobility, Stasis against burst damage, or Quicksilver against crowd control. For the runes, Dark Harvest is the best rune choice for Nidalee. It allows her to snowball a lot in the early game, and if you can stack this early on, her late game burst damage becomes absolutely disgusting. And we carry on with that domination tree, going for Sudden Impact, which when we jump in with Cougar form allows us to deal true damage. Tyrant synergizes very well with Dark Harvest, since both of these runes deal a little bit of damage when enemies drop below 50% health. And Eyeball Collector to try and get as much ability power as possible when getting a takedown. As for the secondary rune, you have quite a few options. Overgrowth is great if you want to clear through the jungle as quick as possible, giving you more durability with the health that you gain. Coup de Grace is great against low health champions, since your burst damage will be increased. And Giant Slayer can be great against tanks. And for the summoner spells, we go for Flash and of course Smite since we're playing in the jungle. Here we go, on to the gameplay now with Nidalee, one of the first games that I'll be playing on Wild Rift with Nidalee. I've played a few games with her now. She's super fun to play. I think she has the potential to be one of the best solo queue carry junglers in the game. But I think that she just has a very high skill ceiling. A lot of people are jumping in when they shouldn't with Nidalee. They're not understanding the potential of her burst damage. And also I've seen some really crazy builds as well with like Electrocute and Conqueror when Nidalee really wants that early snowball potential. And that's why Dark Harvest works so well with her. You'll see when I clear through the jungle now, my jungle clear speed with Nidalee I think is pretty okay. I think there are some ways in which I could probably improve my jungle clear. I believe you could probably get to like maybe 135 with Nidalee, 135, 140 maybe with Nidalee. I get on average 145, which I think is still pretty okay with how Nidalee plays right now, but there's probably some ways in which you can probably improve it and get a little bit higher. But yeah, overall, I've seen some people actually play Nidalee in the top lane. I don't really think that it really works too well in the top lane. The only AD scalings that she really has is in Cougar form, with her abilities in Cougar form. They scale with AD. Other than that, she doesn't really have any other abilities that scale with AD, so it can be sometimes a little bit difficult to be able to, you know, get a lot of damage and get some potential with like tankiness and a bit of bruiser style. But we'll see how it goes. You know, maybe there's some builds that come up and maybe there's some interesting combos that come up with Nidalee, but I've been having a lot of fun with her anyway. I think that her playstyle is very awesome. Her moveset is also very smooth as well. The way that Riot like import some of the champions from PC League to Wild Rift is just absolutely crazy. Like, it's just insane what you can actually do with Nidalee. So there you go, 145 in a jungle clear, not too bad. You'll see here that I'm going to try and go into the bot lane. I actually missed my spear, which Sometimes what you want to do when you gank with Nidalee is you don't really want to waste your spear. Sometimes it's better to walk up and auto attack to slow them with red buff and then, you know, guarantee hit your spear, because hitting your spear is so important to start your combo. If you don't hit your spear, then you should never jump in with Nidalee, because you don't get the full burst potential. You don't get that lock-on effect with the Cougar form second ability. So hitting your spear is very important, which we'll see sometimes. You want to benefit more from the movement speed from your passive to run towards enemy champions, auto attack them with red buff, and then try and hit the spear afterwards, or try and put a trap behind them so you can proc your hunted passive, which is very important. For some reason, Xin Zhao didn't take top skull, so I was like, okay, I'll just take top skull as well, as skull crab just dodges past my trap there, which is a little bit unfortunate. This is really sad. Look at this. Oh my god. The scuttle was 10 HP. 10 HP. Like, how unlucky was that? And I wasn't able to get it in the end. I tried and trade here against the Xin Zhao. Unfortunately, I actually missed the second ability because Xin Zhao jumped over my second ability, which sounds a little bit weird, but that's kind of how the interaction works. You jump with Nidalee, but if there's a champion that dashes away, it actually doesn't go on through, unfortunately. And then he decides to invade me as well, which is actually a really good choice by Xin Zhao, because I'm still quite weak in the early stages of the game. I'm not really doing too much, and Xin Zhao can definitely beat me early on. You can see I'm just trying to use my poke to try and hit someone with a spear, but sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to hit someone with a spear. I saw the Xin Zhao flash, so I'm gonna try and shut him down, but unfortunately I didn't. I see the Dark Harvest stack in mid lane, so I'm like, okay, now's my chance to get one Dark Harvest stack, and that's exactly what I get. When you're ganking with Nidalee, and you can see I hit my spear, boom, jump in and get the kill. When you're ganking with Nidalee, you always want to check on how low enemy champions are during the lane. If a champion is low, even if you don't guarantee the kill, if you walk up and you get a stack of Dark Harvest, that's still completely worth it, because getting stacks of Dark Harvest in the early game is very important to make sure that you can snowball later on. You know, you get the scaling with Dark Harvest with how much attacks, how much AP you have, sorry, but you also get the scaling with how many Dark Harvest stacks you have. So that's one Dark Harvest stack there. Unfortunately, yeah, I do this quite often. I'm not used to playing AP champions in the in the jungle, so I'm used to having a lot of AD on my champions, so sometimes my jungle camps reset because I just misjudge what I actually can deal and how much I can toggle and try and run away. A bit unlucky. And then this is gonna, yeah, that's gonna reset as well. We don't talk about this. It's fine. Sometimes it happens. It puts me a little bit behind, to be fair, but it's not that bad. Sometimes the resets can get really annoying though. Here we go. We clear through the red buff in the end. Yeah, making sure that you hit your spear, like I said, is very important. You can see that most of the time I'm just farming at the moment. Of course, in Wild Rift, you can farm very efficiently and very quickly in the jungle. Going for Lich Bane as my first item. Just checking if there's any wards around here. I'm going to try and clear this Scuttle Crab. Nothing really too crazy has happened in this game. I've only got one stack of Dark Harvest, which is kind of lower than what I want it to be. And then look, Xin Zhao takes my Scuttle Crab again. That's the second time now he's walked towards me and he's gotten my Scuttle Crab, which is so sad. I'm trying to get the Dark Harvest stack onto the Yasuo here. You'll see that there's the Dark Harvest stack on the champion when there's a... Oh, there you go. And the jump on him as well. Beautiful. Jump away over the wall. Oh, beautiful. You can see there's the Dark Harvest stack on a champion when they're below 50% health. And you'll see like a red glowing icon on them. It'll be on their body. And that's how you know when you have the potential of getting the Dark Harvest stack. Of course, it's not guaranteed. You have to hit them. You have to make sure you deal damage with them. But there I hit my spear and I can jump in with Cougar form, and it was really, really nice. Here I got a little bit caught out, unfortunately. I had to flash away. Morgana does flash after me though, and doesn't realize that I still have my heal. And then Xin Zhao also flashes after me, which is absolutely bonkers. And then I just use my heal to make sure that I escape through that. And then I see the dragon is really, really low. I guess Xin Zhao doesn't have smite. Yoink! Take that away. Straight away. And then Yasuo tries to flash onto me, and then, yeah, my movement speed is just too much with smite. So I actually didn't use smite at all to, you know, to help me clear the dragon, but I used the smite to slow down both Xin Zhao and Yasuo to make sure that I can escape and I don't die, which I think a lot of people don't really use Smite for. I think people don't realize that you can use Smite to slow down enemy champions, to chase them, or to even try and escape with situations like that. Xin Zhao flashes over the wall, tries to chase me. I use Smite and I just run away. And the same with Yasuo. Yasuo flashes onto me and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to run away, use my Smite to slow you down and to speed me up. I get the movement speed as well, so you have a lot of mobility with Nidalee. So you have a lot of plays in which you can jump in, but you also have a lot of plays that you can try and escape as well at the same time. Lich Bane finished, first item. I also believe in this game I went for a different rune set. I went for the Precision Tree as the main tree. So I went for Gathering Storm, Giant Slayer, and Bloodline, because I wanted to give that a try, but overall I don't really like it. I much prefer the red tree with going things like Tyrant, Sudden Impact, and Eyeball Collector. You can see here that Yasuo again has a Dark Harvest stack on him, so I'm really trying to look for this Dark Harvest stack on Yasuo. Trying my best to see if I can try and do something. Take away the thing there. Take away the what's it called? The Raptor. Look how low that guy is. One more auto attack. There we go. And we can turn around onto Yasuo. Another stack of Dark Harvest and a double kill as well. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I was hoping I could like steal some of his jungle camps, but I wasn't able to in the end. So this is the thing about kind of playing patient with Nidalee, because most of the time, like I said, you don't want to jump in when you hit your spear, but sometimes you won't hit your spear straight away. You need to make sure that you wait for the right moment to jump in and that you realize that you have enough burst damage. And now I think I have like 6 Dark Harvest stacks now at 8 minutes, which is great. You know, Dark Harvest is going to be scaling now and doing a lot of damage with my build and everything that I want to do with Nidalee. So Dark Harvest now in a really, really good spot. And this is where you can start to snowball with Nidalee and get really far ahead, that it makes it very difficult. Oh, I accidentally flashed there. I didn't even realize. Why did I flash there? You can see here that I try and walk up to the lane. Oh, this is, I remember this. How did I miss this? Look. Oh my God, that was so bad. How did I miss that spear? I guess I just didn't aim it correctly. Like that spear. Yeah. Don't know how I missed that spear, but I did miss it, unfortunately. And I wasn't able to jump in. If I hit the spear, then I can easily jump in and one shot either the Morgana or the Caitlyn there, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. This whole time that this happening though, the enemy team is pushing mid tower. The Yasuo and Xin Zhao got the mid inhib, which is pretty sad, to be honest. I tried to help the bot lane take bot tower, and unfortunately in the end the mid lane just gets absolutely destroyed by Yasuo and Xin Zhao, and then Yasuo tries to take my jungle camps as well at the same time. The top side of my map is not looking very good right now. Tryndamere is pushing the tier 2 tower. I've got Yasuo trying to take my blue buff. The mid inhib is already gone. So in terms of the whole map at the moment, it's not looking too great, but I'm still keeping my level-headed here, making sure that I can still do enough to try and carry this game. Obviously making sure I just farm through the jungle when I can, but the rest of the map's not looking too hot at the moment. But at least I think really taking an inhibitor too early on just means that that lane can take more farm overall and actually get more gold from farming. Because like Brand right now, like they're never going to finish the game. You know, it's 10 minutes into the game. The Nexus shield is there. When you take an inhib, you're just kind of giving more gold to that team, which sounds kind of strange, but that's how I feel anyway, because I feel like it's very difficult for you to try and do something with the inhibitor and try and end the game when you take it this early on, you know, 10 minutes in the game. I'm not going to go for the steal here. It's just not worth it. I was just like, okay, I can just try and hit my spear, but there's no point me jumping in and risking my life for a dragon. Dragons overall are pretty useless. I got the first one, so they can't take Dragon Soul. So in the end, it's not really worth doing it. KO got a shutdown in top lane. I think they also, yeah, they get a double kill in top lane. So they win. My team wins the 2v2 in top lane, which is very, very nice. And you can see that whilst they're making that play in top lane, I'm just going to clear this mid lane wave. It's a lot of gold this late on. A lot of gold. Like I said, you have so many cannon minions. You have the super minion coming in as well. I'm just a little bit worried that they're doing Baron, but I check it and I make sure that they don't do it. Nidalee's big spike really comes in when you finish your death cap. Death cap is your really, you know, your huge spike. I'm not going to do Baron here. Baron is a really, really bad idea. We don't really have a tank at all to try and tank. We have a Kayle, Brand, and Nidalee. We're just takes so much damage from Baron. If someone walks up, we just die straight away. So there's no point us doing Baron there. Their jungler was up as well. They did have 3 people in bot lane, to be fair, but it was just way too risky to try and do the Baron in that situation. Yeah, your power spike really comes in when you get death cap. As soon as you finish death cap, then your AP is just crazy. Dark Harvest does a lot of damage. Your abilities will start to do a lot of damage as well. So it gets a little bit scary. I do jump over the wall here. That was a terrible jump over the wall by me, by the way. I don't know why I did that. You see there, I didn't jump in because I knew that I couldn't one-shot the Xin Zhao. Knowing when to jump in and knowing when you're going to be strong enough is very important. Like I said, when you're hitting someone like a Xin Zhao, you're never going to be able to one-shot. Never. So I'm just waiting at the moment, waiting for me to hit the right spear. I'm just sitting back here at the moment. You see, I'm not jumping in with Cougar form. I'm sitting back, waiting for the right moment. I hit Tryndamere with a few abilities, but this is where, unfortunately, the targeting of my second ability kind of messes up. I wanted to jump away in that instance, but I didn't, unfortunately. And then, yeah, there you go. Triple kill in the end. We do win the 4 versus 5, but Yasuo does get the bot inhib, which is a bit annoying, to be honest with you. This Yasuo is just taking inhibitor after inhibitor, and I need to be really careful that they don't end the game, because now it's starting to get to like 15 minutes, which can start to get really, really scary. Hit the spear, jump in with W. He does dash away, but there we go. We get legendary. So you see that team fight? I was waiting for me to hit a spear, or I was waiting to use my second ability. I wasn't in Cougar form. But unfortunately, actually, let me go back, actually. I want to kind of show you the that fight again. I jump in here, which is a pretty big mistake. I shouldn't be jumping over the wall there because I don't know what's over the wall. That's a really, really bad choice for me to do there. But you see, I'm staying in human form and I'm just keeping back. I'm placing my traps and I'm just throwing my spears. I'm trying to catch out a champion that's really low on health or really squishy and waiting for the right moment to come in. So I try and hit my spear on Morgana. Unfortunately, she walks forward to use her ultimate. And you can see I'm just pinning back in human form. I do hit Tryndamere a few times. I misjudge his ultimate though. But you see here, I hit the trap on the Caitlyn, and because I hit the trap on the Caitlyn, I tap my second ability instead of, because I wanted to jump on the Tryndamere to kill the Tryndamere here. So I should manually aim my second ability of Cougar form to jump to the Tryndamere. But because Caitlyn has the trap on her and has the passive, I tap the ability and I automatically jump onto Caitlyn. That's one of the scenarios that I was explaining in the ability section, that you need to make sure that if you're trying to jump away or you're jumping in a very specific area, you make sure that you actually use your second ability and you manually aim it instead of tapping the ability. You saw Dark Harvest coming in clutch there as well, me killing the Caitlyn in the end. Just one auto attack, proc Dark Harvest, and then I was able to switch to Cougar form and do a lot of damage. And then here, like we just saw, we wait for the spear, we kill Yasuo, and then we get legendary. 9-0-1 on Nidalee. This game's not looking too good though, because they do have 2 inhibitors down. Again, we don't get Baron from this, which is pretty sad. Xin Zhao is up. We do win the team fight, but it was a 4 versus 5, so it does get pretty difficult. I do go for stasis this game, but I feel like I probably could have gone for Protobelt instead. I don't think I really needed stasis. If I had the extra mobility with Protobelt, I think it would have been a lot better in my opinion. So now we need to kind of hover over Baron, but we do need to be careful of that bot lane, because that bot lane can get very, very scary. Xin Zhao, for some reason, is very, very high pushed up. But again, I hit my spear. I know there might be a few enemy champions behind him, so I don't jump in. Again, playing patient, making sure that I hit the right champion with the spears and everything. Trying to hit Morgana right now. Unfortunately, I don't hit him, so I'm just waiting in the bushes, trying to hit the spear at the right moment. Yasuo Windwall messes me up there, which is a little bit annoying. Again, hitting my red buff, trying to do something. I just can't hit anything at the moment, though, unfortunately. I should have used stasis a little bit earlier here, but I do kill the Yasuo anyway because he jumped in and he doesn't realize that I have heal and I have actually a lot of survivability, really, to be honest with you. Again, hit my spear on Xin Zhao, don't jump in, and then Tryndamere. Yeah. Tryndamere kind of does Tryndamere things here. I do have a lot of mobility to try and escape, but yeah, unfortunately, I can't kill the Tryndamere. My team can't kill the Tryndamere enough because he just uses his ultimate, which is a little bit sad. Bit of a mistake on my part. I probably should have just recalled. I tried to stay around to try and hit my spears and try and help my team to try and do a little bit of damage, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough, and Tryndamere just jumps on me, uses Ghost, and there's no way I'm surviving a Tryndamere. You know, that's That's a scenario where I feel like Stasis would, Protobell would probably be better than Stasis, because I can Protobell in a certain direction and try and get an extra bit of mobility, because Stasis is never going to help me against the Tryndamere. Tryndamere is just going to stand on top of me and just try his best to try and kill me at that time. My team is doing Dragon. Honestly, at this point, I have no idea why the enemy team is not doing Baron. The enemy team can easily take Baron here, because I was dead for 20 seconds. Xin Zhao was alive. Okay, they are doing Baron. No, they're not doing Baron. It's just Yasuo by himself. I don't know at this point. But the enemy team can easily do Baron here. Yeah, they're doing it without... They're doing it without Xin Zhao. Yeah, for some reason, they started Dragon without Xin Zhao. You see here, Caitlyn actually plays really, really well, and I die again. Actually, really, really well played by Caitlyn. One way you can really counter the... counter Nidalee. Unfortunately, my bot lane stayed bot lane and didn't help us... a Baron. But the enemy team should have taken Baron much earlier, because for some reason my team went to Dragon instead of Baron. I was dead for like 20 seconds, so they could have easily taken Baron in that time. I'm not too sure what the Xin Zhao was doing. But yeah, Caitlyn did really well. I should have really waited for the Caitlyn net. But if you jump in with Nidalee, if you use a mobility spell at the right time as the animation of Nidalee is coming on through, then you can actually stop the jump and you can stop the damage from Nidalee. So it's actually really good to play someone like Caitlyn, for example, that has mobility, or Corki, for example, anyone like that that has a dash. So when the animation is coming through for Nidalee, you have a chance to dodge it and to escape. And then, of course, Morgana is there as well. I thought Caitlyn was by herself. I hit a spear onto Caitlyn, which 99% of the time you want to jump in if you hit a spear on the enemy AD carry, because you do so much burst damage. But unfortunately, my W didn't go through in the end. I saw that Caitlyn did use the Yordle portal, so I was like, oh, okay, I can kill Caitlyn here. Somehow I missed my spear again, but I still thought I had enough burst damage here, which she did flash away though, which is again really sad for me that I kind of made a bit of a misplay there. I'm gonna try and escape here, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to. Yeah, because Xin Zhao is also down here as well, and unfortunately the rest of my team is not here to escape. You see that my mobility is pretty good. I'm trying my best to survive, but unfortunately not in the end. But honestly, I have no idea how that spear missed. That spear missing there, I think, is absolutely criminal. But we'll talk about that another day. And I think that just shows, though, that if you do miss your spear, that proves there that you're not going to have enough burst damage. You need to hit your spears to jump in. If that shows anything about Nidalee, it proves my point than what I said, you know, about making sure that you hit your spear before you jump in. And when you jump in, that's the time to really, you know, jump in and make sure that you hit your spear. Because if you don't have enough burst damage even to kill a Caitlyn. I mean, I would have if she didn't have flash, but she had flash and she escaped. So again, pretty well played by Caitlyn, but I shouldn't have made that play anyway. So I went from 10-0 to 10-3. So I've made a few bad misplays, but luckily the enemy team has not really punished me from making any bad misplays. And now the Elder Drake is up in 30 seconds. So I'm hoping my team can group around Elder Drake. Looks like my bot lane is dying just before Elder Drake though, which is pretty sad. Not too sure what I'm doing here. Okay, I'll just clear mid lane. Clearing mid lane is pretty important. Swain is dead as well, I think. Yep, Swain is going to die as well. I'm going to try and use a spear here to try and help him, but yeah, I can't really do anything. I'm just trying to tease them a little bit. I don't want to engage here. I'm just trying to see if I can get some more Dark Harvest stacks, or I can try and hit a spear to try and jump in. I know Tryndamere has ultimate, so I'm not going to jump in on that spear there. Trying to get a few Dark Harvest stacks. Xin Zhao for some reason jumps in here, which is absolutely crazy. So me and KO just do enough burst damage. Xin Zhao had 0 follow-up there from his team, so I have no idea what he was doing there. That's a good pick for us because Elder Drake is up, and that means we can turn towards Elder Drake and secure this objective, which is pretty nice. Brand, for some reason, is still mid lane. It is a 3 versus 3, though, I believe, so we do still need to be a little bit careful, especially with this Tryndamere as well. Like, this Tryndamere is really, really scary. Nice stun, though, by the Brand. I'm trying to burst the Tryndamere enough. I jump over the wall to make sure that Tryndamere can't one-shot me. Try and hit a spear here, maybe, on the Yasuo. Being able to jump over the walls in Cougar form is so nice. You see here, I hit the Morgana, insta one-shot straight away. And I play patient. I don't walk into melee range of Yasuo. I wait until the right moment that I can, you know, go back into Cougar form, do enough damage, dodge the tornado, And there you go. I zone him away as well. Like, the perfect timing to jump into Cougar form there for sure. And then I use the jump to jump away to make sure that I don't stay in range, because you don't want these long fights with Nidalee. You want these type of fights that you'll be able to make sure that you can stay forward. And Yasuo, for some reason, tries to hit the tornado there. Look at that burst damage, by the way. What the hell is that? I mean, that is with Elder Drake. You saw there that I was just playing patient. I was making sure that I didn't have... bro, how broken is Gargoyle, by the way? A little bit unfortunate there. Gargoyle is pretty broken. Nidalee spear and dead. Ooh, Elder Drake. Yeah, Gargoyle shield is pretty damn broken. I thought he was going to run away, but he didn't. He was just right on top of me. He didn't start running away. Trying to stay out of range, trying to jump away with Cougar form. Elder Drake saved my ass. And there you go. And Morgana. And for some reason, my team's taking Baron. For some reason, my team was taking Baron when I was trying to kill the Xin Zhao. My focus there for killing Xin Zhao was like, okay, we can kill the jungle and then we can secure Baron. It's an easy take for Baron. But for some reason, my team wanted to take Baron whilst I was trying to kill Xin Zhao. Most of the time, you want to kill the jungler because you don't want to risk that 50-50. You don't want to risk the enemy jungler jumping over the wall, you know, smiting the objective and killing it off. A little bit sad, but it is what it is. 14-3 though, still a pretty decent game. I have made a few mistakes this game, but it's actually nice to showcase some of my mistakes. I always say that because showcase mistakes are very important, just to kind of show you how to play Nidalee, and obviously for you to understand what mistakes I make, so then you don't make the same mistakes as well. But I think overall I've played this game pretty well. I've used the spears pretty well. You can see there again, using the spear onto the back line, again, pretty important. I auto attack here to proc my Dark Harvest, get the extra heal in the end to make sure that I can secure the kill onto the Caitlyn and I don't die as well. And there you go. I think that game should end here. Even though they got Baron, they couldn't win that team fight. And you always want to look for that assassination. It's always very important. Look for that assassination onto the back line. Make sure that you don't stay into melee range of these bruisers, because you're not going to do enough damage. You know, if at the Elder fight, for example, sorry, if I stayed into Cougar form and I jumped into the Yasuo there and I stayed into melee range, I was just going to die. So it's about jumping away in Cougar form, keeping your range with Nidalee and waiting for your cooldowns. Again, playing patient. You saw many times in this game that I was jumping away in Cougar form instead of jumping in, because I wanted to wait until the enemy was hunted, placing traps, using my spears. And you can see in the end as well, 51,000 damage in the end, which is not too bad. This is the rune setup that I did for this game. I wanted to give it a try for this one. This was one of the games that I was streaming. But yeah, 3,400 damage with Dark Harvest. Gathering Storm, obviously very late on in the game. 70 AP, which is quite a lot. Giant Slayer is still very, very good. And then Bloodline just to give us an extra bit of healing. Obviously, Sudden Impact also doing an incredible job. But when you go Dark Harvest, you can go Tyrant. So you can go Sudden Impact, Tyrant, and then go like Eyeball Collector. And then your secondary rune could be something like Giant Slayer or something like that, which I probably would have done this game anyway. But overall, pretty decent performance. I think that I played relatively well. I think there were, again, some scenarios that I could improve, but that's the whole point of the game. Every game is a learning curve. And playing Nidalee on Wild Rift, this definitely feels very different to PC League. So that was very fun and very enjoyable. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this rundown of Nidalee. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about the, Nidalee, and you enjoyed this guide. As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.